Good afternoon, everyone. This is LadyDragon speaking. It's Sunday, January 26th. It's 3:17 p.m. Continue with our keynotes. This one is about Twitch. Let's see what else to say.
All right. Hello, everyone. For those who do not know, I'm Blake Robbins from Hidden Capital, and this is Dan, the CEO of Twitch. And prior to Twitch, he had held a bunch of different roles at Nextdoor, Google, NASA, and yeah, I'm really excited to be doing this with you.
Well, Blake, thanks for joining me. Why don't we just jump right into it, huh?
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, you and I talked quite a bit before this, and we've jammed quite a lot on community, which is obviously the main topic of this overall talk. I think it'd just be helpful to talk about when you hear community, what does that actually mean?
Yeah, it's interesting. I went to a talk that someone gave. It was quite good about all the fancy schmancy connected home stuff that's coming out. And I was talking to them, and they talked about, how, time seems to be our biggest challenge, and we need to use our time better. And I said, I don't think that's what it is. As human beings, we yearn for connection to other human beings. That is at the foundation of what it means to be a human being as we evolved. Time wasn't our most valuable resource when we were evolving. Other people were. I always find it interesting because so often when people talk about human needs and all that, they talk about all these other things. But the foundation of so much of what we do is actually connection with other human beings. One of the books I love is a book by Susan Pinker. And I'm blanking on the name. Susan Pinker. It was I'm blanking on the name now. So I'll just tell you what the main point was. That face-to-face interaction with other people is one of the biggest factors in longevity. And in fact, it was of equivalent importance as not smoking is negatively.
Oh, wow.
So suppose you're a 50-year-old person and all your friends smoke, and you have to choose, do you stop smoking, but then not hang out with all your friends because it's tough for you to hang out with them while they're smoking, or do you keep smoking? Which one will you live longer? And it's a toss-up.
Wow. I guess on that note, obviously you just stressed face-to-face as being the best. How do you think of technology maybe playing a role in that or not?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think, I talk about face-to-face, and I often use the term synchronous, meaning that we experience each other face-to-face and at the same time. And of course, our online interaction is often asynchronous. You do something, I see something, which is more efficient if we're just trying to get information across. But if we're trying to connect emotionally, it's not actually very good. And in particular, I often talk about how social media today started, if you go back in time, is, oh, wow, this is great. I can connect with my cousin I haven't seen in a while and this high school friend I haven't seen in a while and find out what they're doing. Social media today is actually kind of antisocial. I think you're the one who said it's actually not social at all.
Yeah, I mean, it's social. The social media companies today are way closer to entertainment companies or content companies. And I might actually even go as far as to say like gaming understands social way better.
Yeah.
And that's my own experience. Maybe I'm biased of just as playing games. But it is interesting where Twitch fits into that, because Twitch fills this really unique void of the synchronous element that you're talking about.
Well, let's do this. Before jumping into Twitch, because you talked about one of the interesting things between Blake and I, so I'm responsible for running Twitch, but Blake actually is the gamer of the two of us, and Blake also is the one that grew up actually using Twitch more so than me. Yeah. So why don't we, because I always find it interesting to, one of the things, I had a son who did a lot of gaming, and initially my old model of gaming was, it's a time sink and they're spending all that time alone in the room. But they actually aren't alone. So talk to me about what gaming was for you as you grew up.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up Oh man, the games I played were all on Xbox Live. It was like Halo and Call of Duty. I mean, I still play way too many games. I played a lot of League of Legends and Valorant and of the sort, but games for me, in a lot of ways, kept me out of trouble. And I know that sounds weird, but like as a kid, I was the guy who wanted to go and play video games on a Saturday night with my online friends instead of going out doing whatever my like real life friends were doing. And I was always like I grew up on the internet in many ways, and I would say like actually most of, which is going to sound really insane when I say this, but like I learned how to communicate with others by like talking on Xbox Live, and which I learned what not to do mainly. But in many ways, like those were my friends, and I certainly viewed myself as like closer friends with them than anyone I knew in real life at that time. And so for me, it's always because I grew up through this shift. When you see the investors or the big executives talking about this stuff, it's like I lived it. Like it was so clear that that's where this was going. And Twitch has always been a fun one as a viewer for me because I would watch these people. I don't know. There were creators like Nadeshot or any of the sorts at that time where I grew up just watching them. And I felt like I knew them. I would come home after school after, it'd be like 4 o'clock, and I'd just sit there and watch until whenever they got off. And that's always been my experience. I still do that. I still watch tons of streamers.
Yeah, and so, as I always see it from afar is, and I saw this with my son, he gamed because he wanted to hang out with friends. And gaming is that searching for community. And interestingly, I'd rather my son hang out with his friends than sit and binge watch some random show on Netflix where he's sitting by himself. Yes. Because the foundation of living a happy life is being able to negotiate relationships, form bonds, and all that. So
yeah. I might even add there, like I play League of Legends with my college roommates, and like we live pretty close to each other, but we rarely actually coordinate to get together every single day and or whatever, even weekly. But we play games almost every single night, just out of habit. And so that alone is like games are the connective tissue of my friend group.
Right. Okay. So now, and I think it's always good. You talked some about, for you, what was the magic of Twitch? And then I'll talk some more abstractly about explaining to help some of y'all understand it more. Because some of y'all are familiar with it, but I don't think you really, probably many of you still, it's a little puzzling. Yeah. So talk to me about what Twitch was for you.
Yeah, I mean, Twitch, it's a product that's really hard to explain to someone who doesn't use it regularly, which I imagine is an interesting challenge for you as CEO, maybe when you're talking to brands or whoever. But as a user, like you have to find a specific streamer that you really like. But once you find a streamer or creator that you like, you're there regularly. And I still to this day, I sit and I moderate a couple streams, which is hilarious. But all of that is, I would almost say, is like borderline trying to form status within that community. And moderating is like, I would argue like they're the like true backbone of a lot of this stuff, which is interesting. Of like they're doing it for free or they're doing it out of just love for the community. And I've always just found like getting to know other people in the community, getting to know the regulars. I think when we were talking offline, you would use like the bar analogy of the sort, and I think it is the regulars that makes it so special. And again, I've gotten to know a lot of these streamers, and they are just as genuine, but it's just very, it's cool to know that the relationship that I had even through chat is the same as it would be in real life.
Yeah. One of the things I often make the comparison with gaming and with Twitch with sports fandom. Most people don't think of it, but sports fandom is actually all about community too. It's all about shared affinity, and that's why you don't have you watch something like gymnastics during the Olympics, because rah America, and then so we're all together. But really, it's oh, I'm a Bears fan, no, I'm a Patriots fan, no, I'm in this, and it's all about giving an excuse for us to hang out together and do stuff together. And the interesting thing, I think that is the same thing that brings people to Twitch, is they find a streamer that they like. One of the things that's so different is if you watch Twitch if you watch TikTok over a week, you might watch 1,000 different creators. If you watch YouTube, you might watch 200 to 300. If you watch Twitch, you might watch 400 to 600. And what happens is the same people show up to see those same 400 to 600 streamers that you like, and you get to know them. And I often talk about how community and friendship all comes from lots of lightweight, shallow interactions that over time become deep, meaningful connections. And so people come and tell me stories about how they met their partner on Twitch. Nobody comes and tells me, oh, I met my future wife watching TikTok streams. Never heard that phrase, okay? But I've heard many times people saying, oh yeah, we were in a chat room or watching this, and then eventually we decided to get together and blah, 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 and now, and now we're married. Yep. And the other part that I try to help people understand is Twitch is something from a viewer perspective is we often just want to turn something on and relax, okay? And we want to be able to still be cleaning the kitchen, doing this, like checking our phone and all that. And Twitch is that for a younger generation. You can turn it on at any time. You can turn it off at any time. And here's key. There isn't a narrative arc that if you get distracted for a little bit of time, it's okay. It's kind of like when you used to turn on the Discover channel, and it's cool, but if something happened because your kid had something or whatever, it's okay. And for teens and young adults, it's not by chance that Twitch rose at the same time as the phone, because they might get a text on Snap. And I'm watching Twitch, and then I can respond to Snap. But if you're playing a game, you're committed.
You bring up an interesting point, I guess. How do you think of games as maybe the background or foreground of the stream itself and the role that they play within this?
Yeah, that's what I've often said is people think of Twitch as a gaming platform. It's really always been a talk platform. People happen to be gaming while they're talking. For the streamer, it's actually hard. Interesting, this is a good example. If I was going to come give a talk by myself, I would have had to prepare a lot more. But given that we were coming together, who can't sit and have a conversation for 30 minutes with someone they know about interesting? So you jot down a few points and you go on. And gaming gave something for me to be doing.
Yep.
But the reason people watched someone on Twitch was not because of how fast their thumbs moved. It's because they exposed who they were to that community. And they let people into their lives, and that created emotional connection. And interestingly, for many of them, they were uncomfortable if they didn't have the controller in their hands talking about things. But if they have the controller in their hands, then they can have all this conversation, and then eventually they learn to put the controller down. And that evolved into what's happening today, which Twitch is a lot more than gaming.
Yeah, it makes sense to me in that, if I had to talk to any of the people that I used to play Call of Duty with or Halo, I was just putting a voice chat with them without the game itself as forcing the conversation or something to keep the conversation moving, I would struggle mightily. And so that intuitively makes sense to me. It's very interesting because there's the whole why would you watch someone play games? Which is obviously, as you said, it evolved past games today, and it is talking. But even from that counter argument, it's the same reason why you would watch sports is the way I would view that.
Right. Well, people often say, oh, you're watching it because you want to get better at the game. How many people watch the NBA because they want to get better at playing basketball? Okay, I don't think there's a human being that watches the NBA to get better at playing basketball. They don't watch somebody game. Some people do. How do I get here? But most of it is they're watching it because there's a narrative. There's an interesting dynamic in the story. But it's not just watching the gameplay. It's my conversations. It's my emoting. It's my expression. And that comes to one of the foundations, which I know I'd love to have you talk some about chat, because it is this thing that brings us together as viewers.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, chat is the magic of and really you could say chat is community, but chat is, and you feel it when you go to another platform to watch a stream, it's not the same, and in large part because of what Twitch chat is, and that's emotes, that's gifted subs, that's badges, that's all these small things that add up to be really like the magic of what is chat. It's maybe to someone who has like no idea what Twitch is. Maybe we just talk about like what gifted subscriptions are, or
well, actually, let's do this before you mentioned emotes, and one of the things that happens on Twitch is every creator creates a set of emotes, right? And they're little graphic images, but what they really are extending the language for that channel because they often express some emotion, joy, anger, laughter. They're expressing an emotion. And what happens is every channel creates their own language. And the interesting thing is this is like real world communities. Real world communities that have existed at different times customize specialized languages, cues, and other things, right? And so I start with that because the interesting thing about subscriptions is that a subscription isn't for access to content. A subscription is patronage to this creator. Okay, and by giving you the money, I get access to emotes so that I can speak. Basically, I can speak the language of this community because I can use your emotes.
Yes.
And over 2/3 of the money that we make come from subscriptions, not from ads.
Wow.
Which is interesting. And then the other part of that, which you know well, is this concept of a gift subscription, which is, it started with a subscription, but then much more of our money comes because I might watch this streamer and I already subscribe, but then I might give him 10 gift subscriptions, which might be $60. But as opposed to me just giving him $60, it is I am buying subscriptions for everyone else in the community, for 6 people. And so there's this sense, it's kind of like, suppose you have a tip jar, but whenever I put something in the tip jar of a street musician, everybody that's watching that street musician gets a little something. And that creates much more of a collective community experience.
Yeah, it's like buying drinks for people at a bar type of thing.
Yes.
And
yes, it's exactly like that.
And it's, on one hand, it makes total sense when you're in the community, but as an outsider, you're like, why would someone want to give? Because you're saying $60. I mean, you see some people gift hundreds of subscriptions to people monthly.
Yeah.
And we're talking thousands of dollars, and you're like, well, why would they possibly want to do that? And there's a whole bunch of probably reasons why they would do it, but one of the main reasons might actually just be like, they want to go and earn that status within the community.
And they feel good when everybody celebrates them,
Yes.
right? That's what we're yearning for is this sense of belonging. One of the things we talk a lot about is belonging. And we're yearning for acceptance, we're yearning for belonging with other people, and what you have is a community where then I get acknowledged and appreciated by that community when I give money.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a perfect example of chat being a part of the content itself and impacting what is going on. And you see some streamers in just chatting or whatever the category might be, where they're just quite literally just sitting there reading chat, or someone's donating 100 gifted subs and they're just talking, sort of one-on-one, but not really one-on-one with that person in that exact moment, acknowledging them. And again, you wouldn't understand that if you don't use the platform, but it is, community is just such a pure part of what makes it special. There are certain people, you have badges like VIP or whatever it might be to explicitly call out who are the important people in the chat or in the community.
Right. Well, one of the interesting things, and I know we were going to transition to this, and it occurs to me, you talked about people giving gift subs. Right. Well, one of the things that I've been doing as CEO is I stream.
Yes.
And it's interesting. People come in and give me gift subs, even though they don't need to get. In fact, I donate the money to charity. But it always astounds me that it's just such a behavior that they'll do it to me, or someone will give me 10 gift subs.
Yeah. It's it's amazing. I mean, you just touched on it, but you've been the CEO for close to 2 years now.
Yeah.
Prior to that, you were at Twitch for 4 or so years. The 4 years prior, let's say before being the CEO, you were just an executive on the team. You become the CEO, and you're like, okay, I'm going to become a streamer now, DJ Clancy. What was that mindset like, and how has that been yeah, I have to imagine it's been really eye-opening to then be like, oh, I'm actually trying to grow an audience. Maybe you're not trying to be the biggest streamer, but you are, and you're feeling it. How's that been so far?
So it's really this interesting story that I always like to talk about, because I started because I said, okay, I'll stream just because I want to experience it, and the technology and this and that, and I really enjoyed it. Now I will tell you, I am not a DJ. I do play the piano and sing when I stream. Okay, but it's funny because people will come up to me at times and say, oh, they know I'm the CEO, and they go, oh, I love your stream when you DJ. And I was like, okay, so I know you've never watched my stream. You're just trying to impress me. But, you know, I started doing it just to kind of learn it. But the reason I keep doing it is the same reason that most streamers don't like do Twitch because that's how they fund their life. There are a lot that do fund their life. But it's because they get a sense of belonging from the streaming. And I kept streaming because I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed the fact that I could show up, and while people may have first come to my channel because I'm CEO, they don't keep watching me because I'm CEO. They keep watching me because they think I have something interesting to say. I play songs that I like, and they like me expressing that. And it's kind of, we've often used this phrase, fame, love, money is what's motivating streamers. And fame isn't really being popular, it's about having an audience. And somebody's listening. We all want to be heard. And love is about that community then expressing their appreciation. And then some people get to money as a motivation. But for me, money is not a motivation. It's, is somebody listening? And have I affected them in their life? And it's, you know, it's helped me understand the platform and experience the platform very viscerally. And then it's also enabled me, because I'll spend a lot of time with streamers too, where I collaborate with them, where I do what's called IRL streaming. And, you know, I went on a tour of the Southeast where I met with a bunch of streamers. It was called Dan in the Van. I was driving around and I'd stream from the van, and then I'd meet with streamers. And it's made a huge difference, because for our community, the fact that I'm engaged with them really makes a big difference.
Yeah, it's, I think, you know, you are the bridge to the corporate side, or the more back behind the scenes side of it. And I think it's really just, it's fun and cool that you like took this step to put yourself in their shoes, but obviously you've also built a lot of relationships with these creators by going on that path.
Well, one of the things is, undergrad, I interestingly was a computer science and theater major. We didn't go through, I said, don't read off a long resume. I find those boring. Everyone just shuts off. But, you know, that was in undergrad, but eventually I went on and, you know, did my technical stuff. I got a PhD in AI and computer science, blah, blah, blah. But I was always a creator. People often, one thing I believe is we put each other in boxes, and people would put me in a box as, oh, you're an engineer. And it can be limiting, but in a different world, I could have been a creator if I was born 30 years later. And so many of these Twitch creators, you find they have a theater background, or they have some other kind of unique background that manifests them, because what Twitch kind of is improvisational performance art.
Yep. It's yeah, I mean, it's every creator has their own story and path, and I mean, I'm sure you see and live that every single day when you're like, how did you end up doing this, or how did you find this niche, or whatever it might be. So that resonates. I think maybe to take it just a slightly different direction. Obviously, brands are a huge part of what powers, you know, let's say 1/3 of the business is around brands and advertising. How do you think about brands in this whole world of media and social and all of that? Or how should brands think about that? And then maybe just how does that tie into Twitch as well?
Yeah, so first I'm going to do a quick diatribe to something that I believe, if any of you are in the marketing, advertising, whatever, and you don't understand what's called System 1 and System 2 brain, you should understand it, because it's the foundation of what motivates so much of what we do. The System 1 brain, anyone asks you a question, your System 1 brain gives you an answer. And then our System 2 brain is our reasoning brain. So our System 1 brain is our gut, our emotions, our feelings, all that. And our System 2 brain is our reasoning and logic and all that. So if I asked you, do you like McDonald's or Burger King? Something pops into your head. right? And you get an answer right away. Now, all of the research shows that what our system 2 brain predominantly does is come up with a justification for the answer that our system 1 brain gave it. We think we are guided by our reasoning and logic. We think that is the foundation of being human, that we are reasoning and logical beings. We are not. The foundation is our emotions. There's actually this, another book that I've read, Social, Why Are We Wired to Connect, that talks about we developed our big brain to interact with other human beings, not to play chess. And then later on, we used it to play chess. And that emotional part of our brain actually governs the vast majority of how we act and what we do. And now I come from a tech background, and so tech people usually like to think that we're all reasoning and logic and it's all math and numbers, and it's not. Like when brands are trying to connect with an audience, what they're trying to do is get your system 1 brain to have a reaction when you say, should I buy Tide or all? You want your system 1 brain to give you that answer right away. And then your system 2 justifies it. Why do you like McDonald's more than Burger King? Oh, their fries are so much better. That's not the reason you like it. That's a rationalization. And when you're advertising, one reason people advertise on like premium sports is because they want someone when they are positively engaged. And that creates this transference of those positive feelings from whatever is the content they're watching to the brand. And you have a transference, and so what you're trying to do is develop that system 1 affection for your brand. And one of the things I often tell them about Twitch is in Twitch, unlike other social media, people are not emotionally attached to whoever is flying across a TikTok stream. They laugh, they find it funny, but they're not emotionally engaged. When you have a Twitch stream in a community, you're emotionally engaged with that community, okay? And in fact, then a brand, you create that transference because I'm emotionally attached to you. There's an advertisement, there's something going on. You get a transference, and even though you may be a small streamer, could be a big streamer, could be a small streamer, it's not about premium content versus UGC. It's about how much emotional attachment and attention is someone giving to this content, and how can I get transference of that to the brand in the association. So that's why we often see these results where the type of results we get are because of that positive association and the fact that this brand is supporting this streamer. And I have a connection not just with the streamer, but with the community, that now that's gonna help in terms of create that positive association.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense from a Twitch as a viewing experience, or as a viewer, you're often going there for an extended duration. At least for me, my intent when I click into a stream is like, I'm gonna be there hanging out with that community and with those people, which is very different than to like fly through or watch for 5 minutes because they grabbed me on an Instagram Live or whatever that might be. And so, yeah, that resonates deeply with me.
Yeah, and I'll go back since the clock's ticking, so we're almost, and I'll go ahead and wrap it up by saying the one thing I've realized when we think of products and features on Twitch, because I don't think we've always understood the importance of this. So sometimes when we build features, and if there are features that are just about a one-to-one relationship between the streamer and a creator, they may work okay, but they often don't take off. The features that take off that all have some communal interaction. So like when we did polls, that suddenly was popular because we're all doing it. We have this feature called Stream Together where people can knock and hang out with each other, basically for streamers to collaborate. And when we added that when we get together, me streaming, you streaming, all on one stream that's impromptu, and we combine chat, suddenly it took off. And I think it goes back to what we knew, but you forget sometimes, that the foundation of what makes Twitch work is our basic need for communal engagement with other people. And whenever you see all these new technologies and all that, for me, the question I always ask is, if that technology is going to help me in my basic human need to connect with other people, that is very powerful. The other ones will still be useful, but the thing that really is going to make a difference is something that meets that basic human needs, which is we all want to belong, we all want to be accepted, we all want to be part of a community.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. So thank you for doing this.
All right. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Well, that was the CEO of Twitch. Now we're going to continue with our keynotes. I'll be back in 5 minutes.